All right, what's going on, guys? We are back, and today we got a new video for you, and we're going to be featuring the USS Alabama in this video. This is going to kind of be a little bit of an Alabama video and a little bit of Battleship basics video. I don't think I haven't really gone over some of the basics of Battleship play, and we're going to use this video here today. It's a pretty solid replay, not a ton of damage, pretty solid damage, I guess, for Tier 8, but it's more about there's a couple different situations we're put in here in this video that kind of shows some different stuff with battleships. So I'm choosing the USS Alabama for this video because it's one of the most solid, well-rounded battleships in the game. But Alabama does have a citadel that's actually hittable, so it's not going to be a video where we can do a lot of bad habit stuff like you could in, say, a German battleship, or get mispositioned like you could in a French battleship and then speed boost back to wherever you needed to be. So Alabama is kind of one of those, I guess, jack of all trades battleships that allows you to. It's very strong when it's played correctly, but it's very punished if it's not played correctly, I guess, would be the what I'm going for here. So solid ship overall, nice compact size, great guns, 406 millimeters, and they have very high accuracy. The difference in Massachusetts and Alabama, they're both the same ship type, but this ship gets much more like North Carolina guns, where they're much more accurate, versus Massachusetts gets good secondary. So uh, we are on the trap map here, playing a domination mode where there's 3 caps. And this mode, I always kind of like to hang out somewhere around Bravo. I feel like typically Charlie is a trap to go way up on the north there. And then Alpha is always this big open mess, and usually only one team goes for Alpha. So you always have to kind of be situational aware on this map as far as what exactly is going on. But definitely it's up there with one of my more favorite maps. You can get some fun brawls around Bravo because there's enough cover where people feel like they can get in there and then kind of mix it up. And we'll see that later on in this video. So early on, my thoughts as a Battleship player are spreading out the battleships evenly through the map. As a Battleship player, you want to have crossfires with other battleships, i.e. making an opponent choose which battleship they want to angle towards, and you want to keep your battleship presence spread out. You don't want you don't want any of your ships as grouped up completely, but especially not your battleships, because you can't project that threat. If you play cruisers, you understand where to look for where the battleships are, because if there's no battleship nearby, as a cruiser player, you're much more free to do whatever the hell you want. So you always want to keep a battleship all around the map so that there's always a threat to cruiser players and the battleship players to kind of restrict their movement to a degree. So our first shot's going out here today on Gneisenau. He's pretty far out at 19k, and with these slower US heavy AP shells, we're probably not going to actually hit him. I aimed a little higher than his ship, but he turned out pretty significantly, but we've at least slowed him down and impeded him from getting too close to the cap. But as far as actual movement goes, I'm looking to move between A and B. If the team on the enemy team goes to A pretty heavy, I can turn pretty quick and be at A. If they want to push towards B, I'm kind of in the middle here. A Leander pops up right as our guns reload, but I'm going to hold fire for just a second. One of the other things about battleships, you want to be patient sometimes. Wait for a good shot. This guy's probably going to go into the B cap, but he could have grounded, and then I would have missed completely if I would have aimed like he wasn't going to ground. So I wanted to see what he was going to do. It was 5 more seconds. He wasn't an immediate threat to anybody. I want to see what he was doing. We're going to go ahead and let that salvo go. And he gets destroyed, as he should, in the Leander. That's going to be a Citadel, and that's going to be first blood on the board. So yes, we are off to a great start. About that same time that Cossack appears, he turns around here. It looks like probably Graf Spee might be hydroing him, if not just spotting him outright, since Cossack is using his guns. So it means that he's going to be spotted for a minute. Our gun reload comes up with AP, but I'm going to go ahead and switch to HE. Now, I have Admiral Halsey on the ship, as you see by the red shells, so I get a really fast expert loader reload of just 7 seconds. But even if I wasn't, I would have probably tried to switch to HE. HE is much more effective against destroyers. Armor-piercing shells are capped in how much damage they can do to destroyers, so if you're ever in a situation with a battleship where you think you have enough time to switch to switch shell types, if you don't have expert loader, don't switch. Just shoot what you have in your guns. But if you actually have expert loader, or you have improved expert loader like on Halsey or something, you want to try to switch if you can, because HE is much more effective. We got 2,000 damage on that Cossack, but if dispersion cooperated, it would have probably been higher. But it was worth it in that case. I kind of figured with him shooting his guns, he'd be detected longer. Now, he smokes up and keeps driving. It's something destroyers do all the time, and I don't understand why. I switched back to AP, anticipating that we would, he would be smoked up and gone. So this time, instead of waiting for expert loader again, I went ahead and just shot what we had in the guns. Now, we don't get a lot of damage. I don't think we even hit him. But it's looking more and more like this guy's probably going to die soon or disappear soon. So we're going to go ahead and move towards Bravo because we quick situational awareness recap. Look at A right now. We have a cruiser that's pushed all the way through A with no resistance. Every ship that they had that was near A and B turned and went towards B and C. So I turned my ship. There's no reason I'm going to keep selling this flank. I want to help my team contest Bravo, and there's no reason for me to sail towards Alpha right now. Like that side of the map is clear, so we need to turn and get to the fight where it is. Now we're going to fight against this New Mexico. We're keeping ourselves fairly angled. Our back gun isn't on target yet, so there's no reason to open up that angle any more than we have in that shot. So we're going to kind of keep that nice belt. That's what we want to do. We want to bait those shells into the armor belt of the ship, and as you saw there, most of those shells wound up bouncing. So it was very good that we kept our angle and lessened our damage. I'm going to try to shoot the shores. The terrain indicator tells me I can get shells over this island. I'm not really sure I can, but I used the mini map, put the circle on the shores on the mini map, and shot, and all the shells hit the island. So that's unfortunate. I'm trying to give my Groff space some cover right now. Notice how I'm avoiding driving directly into the cap because I am detected and there are ships shooting at me. And if I go into the cap as the battleship, I'm going to just draw fire to me and I'm going to get the cap reset every time. If you're inside the buoys, if you're in the cap zone trying to cap for your team, but you're being shot at, every time you get hit, it resets time off the cap that you have to wait to capture it. So as a battleship player, unless there's no one else here, I don't really want to drive into the cap per se. Now, the Groff Spay dies. So at this point, it's kind of like, all right, well, let's do it. Because why not? So another quick situation awareness check. We do have that caustic over there, but it looks like my team can probably take care of that guy. I probably don't need to shoot him. I don't really have any other targets right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just fire a shot at the aircraft carrier, maybe scare him off or something, just he's open. But let's take a situational awareness check. What's going on right now? Well, it looks like their team is pushing between B and C. Look at the mini-map in the bottom right corner. There are 4 ships pushing between B and C, and we're about to have a big lemming train pass right in front of our ship. So I've got to kind of make a decision on what I want to do. I thought about turning to my right and kiting away that way, but then I kind of realized that that was too far away, and I didn't want to give that kind of broadside, turning from to my right and turning my ship in front of Massachusetts and Gneisenau and North Carolina. I didn't really want to do that. So I'm going to turn left instead and kind of head towards this island. Optimally, it doesn't really set up a crossfire well with Leon, but I don't think I want to turn too broadside and give that much damage away to try to get that position. But I do realize pretty quick that this is not a position I really want to fight. Me and a Leon versus a Massachusetts and a Gneisenau. Both those ships are brawler battleships. They are heavily armored. They're brawlers. They got good secondaries. Me and Leon don't have that. Alabama and Leon don't. So I wait for the next shell fire to hit me, and I'm going to try to turn away from these guys. I don't know if I'm going to get the opportunity. Massachusetts' guns weren't aimed at me when I started turning, but this is a bad. It's a kind of a misplay. I should have gotten closer to the island, but I thought I could get away with it. Sometimes you play this game enough, you think you can get away with shit you really can't. But Massachusetts is going to get a shot off. And so is Gneisenau, and we eat about 20,000 damage and get citadeled. So unfortunately, some of that damage isn't repairable, and then we get set on fire by Gneisenau's secondaries. This is the problem. Our secondaries are trash, and these ships have really good secondaries. So I'm disengaging behind the island because I want to only fight one of these ships at a time if I can. Notice how this island protects me from shores, from New Mexico, from Massachusetts, from Nuremberg, and it's only the Gneisenau I'm trying to engage. Now, ultimately, I want to get around this Leon and turn back the other way. I want to try to either see if someone's going to push around to my left, the left side of the island, or if they're not, I want to get back around the other side where I can kind of get that crossfire I mentioned a minute ago where I could have turned right. I mean, in hindsight, watching the replay, maybe I could have turned right, but in the time, I thought maybe it'd be better to get behind this island right here and disengage from having multiple targets targeting me at one time. So we're going to turn back away here now. Hopefully the Leon stays over here, and I can cross back around to my left, and I'm going to go ahead and spin my guns around and hopefully try to get a crossfire on this Gneisenau as he pushes in. Now, he's slowing down somewhat, but we are in kind of a brawl right now. But I want to create a little bit of distance. Like I said, my secondaries aren't good, and as a battleship player, you have to understand what ship you're playing. Are you playing a mid to long range like support battleship from a distance? Are you playing a tanky battleship that can get aggressive with high powered secondaries and great armor? Because knowing your strength is knowing how to play the combat. If I was in a Massachusetts, I probably would have just freaking stopped right there and just melted these guys with secondaries. But since I'm in Alabama, that's not really my play style. I want to create a little bit of distance. I want to stay out of their secondary range where I'm not getting set on fire every 10 seconds. Now, Gneisenau is a really tanky ship, and these guns are not going to do a lot of damage nose on. I'm shooting at his turrets, hoping to get an incapacitation on one of his guns, because Gneisenau only has 6 guns. So if you take one out, you know, his firepower is really cut down a lot from what it was. We get another fire from the secondaries because that's what they do. They just set fires like crazy. And I'm trying to see if I can get around this guy. He's either going to have to turn to commit. He's eventually going to have to commit to either one of us. Either he's going to have to keep giving Leon broadside to get his bow towards me, or he's going to have to turn his ship towards Leon, and then I'm going to get his broadside. See how this crossfire, now that I've created distance between me and Leon, suddenly I have a much better profile to shoot at him with? That's what we're trying to create in the situation, is trying to get on broadside shot one way or the other. We only get 2,600 damage between that and the aircraft carrier torps, or yeah, I believe the Lexington torped him. We do get the kill. Now we do have still of an issue. We have a Massachusetts, we have a Baltimore, and I'm going to slow down a little bit and kind of see what's going on. The Shores stops. I anticipated him reversing, so I try to split the difference in how long it would take him to reverse. It doesn't ultimately work out because he starts going forward. It's just some cruiser players do sometimes. They just stop for no reason. I've never quite understood it, but it works a lot of times. So anyway, we put one more shot on the Shores with our bat gun. Don't think it's going to hit him. And then we're going to go ahead and kind of take stock of what's going on here. We have Massachusetts that's camping behind the island. Leon is rushing him for absolutely no reason. That's not a fight you're ever going to win in Leon in 1,000 years. We get another shot on the Shores, maybe get him out of this fight. Looks like he's trucking it in a pretty good clip. We're shooting below his bow because he's coming towards us at an angle. And we do drop some shells in his head, 3,800 damage, and he's out of the fight, so that's good. So looking at the current situation, ship count is tied. We do have our aircraft carrier up, but they have a much better position on the map than we do. We have guys outside of the cap. They have guys all in the cap. They're all kind of going to group up behind this island. I'm going to see if I can get one set of shells over this island. The good news about this USAP is it's slow and high arcing, but it is nice to be able to shoot over islands sometimes. You get a little bit more of an arc on your shells. We do get 8,000 damage on New Mexico with 5 hits. So now I want to go ahead and turn back to this fight. I don't want to get too far away from the cap because the fight is in B, and I can't afford to drive all the way back into the spawn. But I'm going to turn now when there's less guns focused on my ship versus later when Massachusetts and other ships come around. Now, this sequence right here is so infuriating. This Massachusetts survives multiple broadside hits. It does not take much damage. He takes 10,000 there, but only 3 hits from dispersion, or just maybe my aim wasn't as good as I thought it was. I'm not in the habit of watching my shells in the binoculars. I always try to keep zoomed out so I can keep track of as much, situational awareness as I can. Our Lexington dies because he sailed through the A-cap and got killed by Baltimore. But I'm trying to speed up right here because I want to keep this Massachusetts on my side, and I want to keep these other 2 ships behind the island. Because if they're accelerating and I'm accelerating towards the island, as they're accelerating away from it, like towards the mass, I can keep them behind that island longer where they can't shoot me, and that's kind of my goal here. But Massachusetts pushes right through, and we're hitting him pretty much dead broadside, but not getting a lot of help. So our 5-to-5 ship advantage just became 3 really fast. We no longer have our aircraft carrier to help us, and our Gallant is being utterly useless, and he will continue to be utterly useless. So it's kind of up to me and Fuso here to fight off 5 enemy ships. Looking a little bleak, team. We get another shot on the Massachusetts, and we're just not getting the damage. I'm probably aiming a tad too high. I kept thinking he was going to kind of turn out, but unfortunately we just don't get that kind of luck. He starts lightening up our Fuso for a pretty healthy amount of damage. Fuso just not super tanky. Massachusetts slows down a little bit, so we're going to aim a little more center mass on his ship. I was afraid that his Citadel armor belt would bounce these shells if I aimed right at his waterline, but 6 hits there for about 12,000, 11,000 damage, so that's a little better. Lexington does get to drop his final torpedo salvo off on him. And at this point, I'm going to try to go ahead and turn it in a little bit because Fuso is going to sail past me, and I want to let him get past me. And I'm going to try to make something happen at this point because now we're kind of in that situation where you got to make a play. And that's kind of the thing about this game is if you last long enough, you got to try to make a play for your team. We're down on points. We're down on ships. So instead of trying to do the most optimal play, now we're going to be a little bit reckless. So we're going to try to take these guys head on because why not? It's a cruiser and a tier 6 battleship. We're at about half health. Maybe we can make something work here. So we're going to start getting lit up by the Baltimore because the absolutely absurd U.S. Cruisers in this game that have pretty much every advantage over other ship. This is to include that firing angles where you can literally park the ship against an island and still shoot right over it. It's absurd. New Mexico pretty much parks dead broadside in front of me. I thought he was actually moving a little faster than that. We get him down to 1,500 health, but of course that one overpin means that he is actually going to get a chance to heal. That shot could have been better, simply. Now I'm keeping that solid angle. See how my bat gun can't hit him? And that's about the perfect angle you want to be at. If you're ever wondering what's my optimal angle against another battleship. If your third gun can hit him if your back guns can hit him, you're probably not at enough of an angle. As kind of his watch. So he only got like 2,500 damage in his first salvo. Now I back up too far. I put all three guns on target. My rudder got a little too far over, and notice how this time all three of my guns can hit him and then some. So see that angle was a little too far. And this time we're gonna eat 8850 damage. So you notice the difference from 2,500 to 8,800 damage, and it was a matter of a few degrees of angling my ship. So Hatsuharu or Shiratsu or whatever ship on that team, yeah, Hatsu appears with torps. That's pretty terrifying. I'm gonna have to put this fire out because we're gonna have a minute 15 to our next heal. I don't want to get that low health, so I'm gonna hit my repair right now enough time where if the torpedoes did hit me, my repair party would cover the torpedo hit. While your repair party, see how it's ticking down 10, 9, the bottom of the screen. While that repair party is occurring, you cannot be set on fire or flood anymore. So sometimes you can kind of milk it like that. I'm going to shoot at this Baltimore. I'm trying to get these shells over the island. He's just basically island camping like every U.S. cruiser does. We get a 15,000 damage hit on 6 shell hits. But he's probably going to back up before we can get another salvo off. And, we're not looking like we're in a very good spot. That USHE just tearing us up with some high alpha damage. Our armor can't really shatter it no matter where he hits us. So we're down to 3,300 health. We get less than 20 something seconds on our heal before we can get our heal off, and now North Carolina is pushing us pretty aggressively. So I turn in. Some of those shells bounce off the top of my turrets. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn in. I'm going to try to dodge. I'm going to try to duck, and I'm doing anything I can to try to stay alive right now because this North Carolina is pushing us. And one decent shot from North Carolina could take us out of this fight. I'm going to shoot right at his turrets. I'm going to try to get a turret out of this fight, try to knock out one of his guns. Unfortunately, we don't get that lucky. And we're not going to be able to get his guns out here, so we got to brace for impact. And he does shoot HE at us, and dispersion kind of favors us. We take 3,000 damage, and our heal does have a chance to get off. So now we've got a pirate ship brawl this guy. It is 3-3 ship count, but our Fuso is like right behind us. See, if our Fuso had sailed one way or the other, he'd have more of an opportunity to hit this North Carolina's broadside. But I've got to keep my angle tight to this guy. I can't put my third gun on him right now. And I'm just trying to wait to see if this guy is going to use HE or what he's going to do. I don't really want to ram because I don't really have enough faith in that Gallant and the Fuso to carry this game. So we get 600 damage right in the superstructure from his next HE salvo. So now I'm going to turn out because now I've got a chance to hit him, but I've got to get closer. My shells can bounce. If I shot this right now, my shells would bounce. But I'm at 1,100 health. Secondaries are hitting me. Baltimore could come back around any second. So I'm trying to get every second I can. I shoot, and the angle just wasn't good enough. 7 bounces. The auto bounce put into play and didn't get the shell off. I should have held my fire another second or two. They may have had enough angle to punch through the armor and it would have deleted him. But I was simply too afraid of how much longer I had, and I had to take the shot before he got another shot off, and I had to take the shot before I died to at least give my team a chance. So I went kind of for the sellout play, and we didn't get it. Now, even if I would have killed the North Carolina, probably still would have died to Baltimore or Hatsuharu. I mean, we had 1,100 health with no more heals. But unfortunately, that brawl didn't work very well for us. And, our Fuso played pretty well. I mean, this guy tried to hang in there until the end. Really, not getting any help from our Gallant really sucked. I mean, this dude he didn't do anything. He just didn't do anything. He sat right there at like F or G3 the entire like second half of this game and just didn't come in and support at any point in time. He just sat out there and just dicked around with Baltimore and shot torpedoes at him and just didn't really do anything. He could have come back into the CAF and torpedoed North Carolina or torpedoed Gneisenau or done something. I mean, I'm not trying to say he was the reason we lost, but I mean, it just didn't help the situation. But we finished with 149,000 damage and 4 kills. A pretty solid afternoon for an Alabama game. Just at the end there, we just weren't able to make enough plays for the team. But hopefully you saw some decent Battleship stuff in here about positioning, always trying to take up somewhat of a central position. That's what I typically like to do. I don't like to flank in Battleships. Like I don't like to drive around the back of A or around the back of C, because even if you manage to win that flank, it just takes too long. You wind up just not being very useful to the team for a long period of time. So I like to say somewhat central. You try to use islands to keep other ships off of you. Try to limit your exposure to ships at a time, and then try to think about ahead of time if you're going to have to make a turn or disengage from a fight, how you're going to do that. Because you saw I didn't do a very good job of that. I turned a little too late and wound up eating half my health in citadels. I would have had that citadel damage I took back. I mean, this game could have been different. I would have had enough health to maybe tank that North Carolina longer, get his broadside, kill him, and I would have had, if I had 15,000, 16,000 health, I could have probably pushed Baltimore. Maybe this is a different game. But unfortunately, decisions were made, and everything kind of comes back to get you. I mean, should have had more help from the team, but that is what it is. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you got something out of it. And this game, of course, wraps up. We lose, as is tradition. So anyway, guys, that's what I got for you today. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.